Some people think they are somehow just magically incapable of gardening. But if you have the desire, few things could be farther from the truth. So in today's video, we're going to explain why everyone can garden. Judd Lefebvre here with Green Thumb Gardening Secrets, where we're trying to reforge the link between people and their food by rebuilding the generational chain of Green Thumb Gardening Secrets. The tomatoes seem leggy and are only setting meager fruit. The broccoli heads are so tiny they just don't seem worth the effort. The peppers barely have any peppers and it seems like they might have an insect problem. And the beans are just these stubby little fists that have been seemingly held in suspended animation for weeks. What do I do? This is gardening life for most gardeners I meet. Or worse, when the topic of gardening comes up, most people immediately confide in me. I have a brown thumb, I just can't get it in there to grow, I've tried, there's no way, I kill everything. As if somehow it were some magical ability they had to be born with it, just like skipped them. But gardening isn't a divinely given ability, and it's very much something that can be passed on. That's what I'm here to do. Anyone can learn it, and that's what you're here to do. But first, some important context, why this is the case. What's the secret behind all of it? There is something. My dad's a good example. My dad was an amazingly green thumb gardener. It was just a sight to behold. I could tell he appeared to other people as if a lightning bolt struck his hands the day he was born. My whole life, I watched people regard him with a sense of deference and disbelief that treated him as if he knew or was magic. He was the most gifted horticulturalist anyone who ever met him had ever known. And people were never satisfied saying he had a green thumb. Dave, they'd say, oh, he has 2 green thumbs. But I was by his side from my very beginning, and I saw the real secret to his magic. As his little buddy, he taught me everything he knew, starting earlier than I could understand words. But the most important thing he taught me, without even trying, was how he knew what he knew. I'd watch him spend his evenings bent over horticultural literature, dedicate weeks and weeks to traveling to horticultural conferences all over the country, constantly trying new methods and ideas and comparing them to his old previous favorites. Every single season, every single year, I'd see him working through and solving problems constantly, and I'd see his mistakes. Yeah, even those with seemingly God-given ability make mistakes, and he made them all the time. But I saw how he learned from and grew from each one. You see, the most important thing he taught me is that horticultural success never just happens. It's not magic. It's not a God-given ability that someone just has or doesn't have. It's not a wish granted by a genie. It's passion. Passion enough to learn and keep learning, even when you're the most gifted horticulturalist anyone's ever met. Passion enough to persevere through what in the long run become minor failures and great lessons. Passion that burns so deeply in your heart and your mind that you're ready to learn whatever lessons the natural world has to teach. That's the secret. And I think we're all born with this passion. It's been part of our species for all of our existence. And until recently, we've always had a green thumb family member to help stoke our own flame and show us the way as we grew up. And that is the true secret. You see, the lightning bolt didn't strike his hands, it struck his heart. And it came in the form of my grandmother. My dad, being the youngest of the first 4 boys on the farm, was tasked with helping her in the garden. And she taught him, at the youngest of ages, the magic of seeds, that each tiny pip miraculously contains the entirety of the code to build every later massive or majestic plant. The wonder of soil, whose fertility sustains both our garden plants and everything else alive, including us. In the intricate beauty and the soul-elevating smells of flowers. And he was never the same. And because of it, he spent his whole life immersed in this beauty. And then he pulled me into it. But I always remembered the deepest lesson. The actual magic, the truest secret, was his passion. Actually, not just for gardening, but for the entire living world. That opened his heart and mind to learn whatever lessons it had to teach. That was a real gift he was in part born with, as I think we all are, but also had fostered by my loving grandmother. Her inspiration and love made everything else possible. She was his loving link to the best sides of his humanness and the lessons long passed down from hunter-gatherers through today in a chain unbroken, at least for some of us. So I think of all of you now who've somehow been disconnected from this link, just because one generation decided not to pass on these gifts that had previously been everyone's birthright for all of human existence. And I think of you who somehow still have this beautiful, deep desire bubble up inside of you, even though you were never inspired by someone you admire. The fact that this desire somehow still finds a way to burn in human hearts who've never had it gives me chills, and it breaks my heart. Because you all have hearts and minds just as open to growing and are just as ready to learn all the lessons the living world has in store. But you just weren't as lucky as both my dad and I were to have someone, especially someone you love and trust, pass on what can be a confusing but amazing array of knowledge and wisdom, and a gift that was held in the hands of most humans throughout time, and I think deserves to be held in yours. And it breaks my heart knowing you desire what used to be your birthright so deeply, but often feel lost when trying to bring that passion to fruition. People who care so deeply should have the opportunity to become people who know just as deeply, and that's why I do this. If you have that same passion for growing, and it's become clearer and clearer to me that it's innately human, that so many of us do, it seems only fair that you have someone enter your life to help you on your journey to learn how to do such a beautiful thing. Because partnering with a little plot of land and everything that surrounds it on this earth to grow your own food is such a beautiful thing. So if you have that passion, this whole series is dedicated to your open mind and your open heart. And I'm here to teach you the biggest secrets, and then maybe some smaller ones too, to try to help you bring your passion to life on the ground in front of you. If enough of this clicks for you, join me as we explore how to be an amazing gardener. And if I could give you just a little advice to start you on your way, start small. You can always expand, but it can take 2 or 3 years to recover from a growing season that completely overwhelms you, if you ever do. Be easy on yourself. Forgive yourself for what you have considered your failures. Think of them as lessons, well learned. And remember, the absolute best gardeners, the best horticulturalists, they make mistakes all the time, every year, every month. How do you think they got that good? Every lesson any of us really learn, don't we have to learn the hard way through some seeming failure? Often one that was our mistake, and often one that was for trying to get away with something we actually knew better about, and often one we had to learn more than once. So be easy on yourself. Forgive yourself for what you think are your failures. They're your best lessons. Listen to your plants. Follow your plants. Look for what works for them, and they'll show you the way. They always do. And follow your passion. The rest will come with time and your openness to your own growth as much as your plants. Trust that process and enjoy that journey, for it is a truly beautiful journey of joy and exploration. And may you always stay open to growing. You can find more on big questions like these, big secrets, and many other topics on my website. I'll leave a link in the description below. Like this video if you liked it. Likes really help us out. Leave a question or comment below. I personally answer each one. And subscribe to get all of our future videos. And if social media is your jam, feel free to follow us on Twitter and Instagram for more Green Thumb gardening secrets, tips, and tricks. Just the tips.